Welcome in Daniel Newman. He's the CEO of Futurum, and Paul Prager. He is the CEO of TeraWulf, actually making power for high compute data centers. Paul, you and your team are working to solve this very problem. So I'm going to ask you, these numbers, I know electricity is confusing, but these numbers are astronomical. And when they announced this deal, I started sort of yelling to nobody, by the way, how is this ever going to happen? How big are these power generation figures, and can this actually occur?
So it all depends on what period of time you want to measure it in. Near term, it's going to be tough. And OpenAI, they're not the only game in town. It's a very competitive industry, and AI and superintelligence is viewed as a winner-takes-all pursuit. The problem is going to get worse before it gets better. What TeraWulf does is we not only have the power, but we build the data center, and we meet the needs of the customer. We just, as you know, we've partnered with FluidStack Google. We also have a customer, G42 Core 42. What TeraWulf is doing is looking at repurposing retired industrial assets with existing grid connections and installed infrastructure. We've done that at Lake Mariner. We're doing it at Cayuga in New York. But not everybody can do this, and there's not an infinite number of sites.
That's it. So can you, Paul, sorry to jump in. What do you mean it's going to get worse before it's going to get better?
Well, the demand for power is it's through the roof. And near-term demand is what everybody wants to talk about today. When you talk to any one of these hyperscaler customers, cloud customers, they're all talking about power in 26 and 27. The reality is having power in 28 is not going to be, walk in the park either. You have to take a look at where will this new power come from. TeraWulf's view is that we will repurpose retired industrial sites. We will also look at sites where there's trapped gas and develop CCGT natural gas facilities. But new generation is going to take 4 to 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, Daniel, again, I'm not trying to bring it back to the world that I do, which is energy, but here's the reality. You can say all you want. That Sam Altman and Jensen Huang are far smarter and certainly far richer than I'll ever dream to be, so they must know something. But when we hear these numbers, and I look at the biggest nuclear power plant in America, Vogtle, in the state of Georgia, was $36 billion and took over a decade to build, and we're talking about 2.5 Vogtles worth of power. It's hard not to be a little bit skeptical.
We know they're playing the long game here, Brian, and yes, you are absolutely right. This is going to take some time to build out. But this is the future. Multiple decades of economic global leadership, and of course, these companies' positions. Over the last month, OpenAI has had to be very strategic. It had to work with Microsoft to undo a complicated deal that was limiting its ability to get funding. NVIDIA is trying to make sure that it is solidified with the winner, meaning that its infrastructure is getting into OpenAI, because we've heard OpenAI talking about building its own chips. And I think it's aggregated. It's going to be additive to the overall infrastructure market, which we have pinned at like $583 billion just for data center chips by 2029. So as I read this, yes, the power, the complication, what Wolf there is trying to solve is a very real and very important problem to solve. It could be the biggest rate limiter to us getting there, but we're not playing the game for just 1 or 2 years. We have to play the game for the next multiple decades, and we have to build this out, because this is where China really is ahead of us, is in the energy game. They've been beating us. They continue to outpace us.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, and it's always, Daniel, that last mile. Literally, we can build, for example, autonomous driving. It's hard, but it's there. I've ridden in Waymos. Tesla's pretty much got it figured out, but the roads have to exist. The roads have to be paved well. They have to be painted. It's that last mile that I worry about, where the AI dream may not actually occur. Do you worry there's a chance none of this actually happens?
I don't think it's zero sum.
Daniel first, then Paul.
All right. I don't think it's zero sum. I think it's going to happen. I think the timeline is going to be the biggest debate. This year, we saw, from the standpoint of inference or the consumption of AI, we're seeing about 50 trillion tokens is the number that we're hearing here. Next year, the expectation is 500 trillion. So we're seeing a 10x growth in consumption just between 25 and 26. This is just the beginning. That exponential rate of growth is expected to continue multiple years into the future. Yeah. So the ability for companies like Wolf and the others that are making these massive investments is going to be paramount to us getting there, but I don't see a situation in which it goes to zero. I see the situation of where we hit some roadblocks, which we already have.
Paul?
Yeah, I think the answer is we could deliver. I mean, we had at Wolf, we have 1.2, gig of power, scalable, ready for this industry. We are repurposing sites as we speak real time. There are states that have trapped gas where the government and the regulatory environment is very exciting. We could develop combined cycle plants in those states within 4 years. We will meet the need, and the goal will be to sort of meet that need as it scales. But on a long-term basis, there's nobody better at developing power facilities than the United States, particularly former IPP guys like TeraWulf. And we will continue to do that to meet the needs of customers like OpenAI and our customers, Fluid, Google, G42. That's what we do for a living.